KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. I tell you, rainy days and Mondays always get me down. Something about this particular Monday, I'm a little bit slower than usual. I'm a little bit more sluggish. I'm a little bit more antsy. Some Mondays are more difficult than others. I hope you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. It was full, though. It felt like I didn't have a weekend. I was doing something all day, each day of the weekend, but I'm glad to be back here with you. So much to talk about, given the events of the past 2-3 days. You know, that violent mob which assaulted the 7-Eleven clerk? They've been showing that video on loop all day long. They ransacked that 7-Eleven. Well, I have some thoughts about that, and I think I figured it out as to why 7-Eleven, not AM/PM, not Circle K, not Joe's Convenience Store. Why 7-Eleven? I'll give you those thoughts next segment. And we have a list of the cities with the worst drivers in the United States. Mark Ronner is going to be listening intently because these are the cities for him to avoid if he does not want to give people the double bird or even the single bird.
I only do it when it's an absolute necessity and it's a public service and a courtesy.
I do not doubt you at all. But if we're doing the list, you know it's connected to Southern California somewhere along the way. And of course, we all know that there is a presidential election coming up, but that's not the only election that people are talking about. And if you're like me, hopefully you're not, but if you're like me, you're getting campaign calls, these robocalls, these text messages, emails every single day. I'm talking about from both parties. They just somehow figured out how to find me, and they probably found you as well, and you just get bombarded with all these messages. Well, the question is, can you stop at least the phone calls and texts? We'll talk about that before the hour's up. And we have a pair of Circus Vargas tickets to give away for October 18th at the Del Amo Fashion Center. So we got a pair of Circus Vargas tickets for October 18th. It's coming up soon at Del Amo Fashion Center. They could be yours, but you're going to have to listen in as to when we're going to give them away. So, Stephen, I didn't get a chance to say hello to you this evening. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Did you drive for anyone this weekend?
No, not this weekend. Had a lot of stuff to take care of with my pops. But, yeah, otherwise, pretty relaxing.
Okay. What about you, Mark Ronner?
You don't even want to know the depths of nerdism I sunk to this weekend, but I'll just give you a teeny tiny little atom of it. You know I'm a James Bond fan. Love the old ones. Mm-hmm. There were some commentaries on Criterion Collection editions of the first 3 James Bond movies that were banned in the early 90s. I found them.
Did you pay for them?
I found them. I found them.
Okay.
And I also found like a summary of the best, dirtiest bits from them. They were banned because like Cubby Broccoli, who you recall as the honcho behind those earlier Bond movies, he was offended by them, and there was some kind of salty language and some insults and some unflattering remarks made about assorted people in the cast and crew. Very entertaining.
All right. And what about you, Twala? What did you get into?
I did not do much. There's this G.I. Joe comic relaunch coming in November, and it looks very, very exciting. So I went around to a bunch of different comic shops to get a hold of some of the prequel series from 4 of the main characters in the G.I. Joe comic. They have like prequel series that are coming before this major relaunch. I just went around to a bunch of shops to stock up.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, my weekend was just full. It was just full. I was doing something all hours of both days of the weekend.
How was the Blue Door Bash?
It was fantastic. They raised a lot of money. I'm not at liberty to say how much they raised, but they raised a lot of money. We were going to help out a lot of kids across Southern California, more specifically in the Carson area. And it was just a well-received event. I heard a lot of great feedback from the multiple interviews we had with participants here on Later with Mo Kelly, and I look forward to doing it in future years. It feels really good. And I try to say this not to gloat, but to be clear. I don't get paid for that. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it because I feel that it's important to do. And I would rather give my time, and it's a fundraiser. I'm not trying to get money from a fundraiser. It's just weird to me. Other people do. I'm saying I don't. That's one of the things that I look forward to every single year, because I like to be able to say I had a hand in helping raise money a lot of money to help a lot of children. I'm all about children, and I'm all about education. Kind of works together. So it's a perfect fit for me. Shout out to Kim Richards, who is the CEO for the Boys and Girls Club of Carson, putting on a phenomenal event. Nina Patel as well, the Vice President of Development. Can't wait to do it next year. And they always have a great, I want to take a moment here. They always have a great venue. One year they did it at Dignity Health, where what used to be, what do they call it? Well, wherever the Chargers used to play in Carson.
Home Depot Center?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Home Depot Center. It's now Dignity Health. They did it 1 year at BMO Stadium, which is where the LA Football Club plays, right off the 110 freeway. They did it at the Porsche Carson Porsche Experience. A couple of years there. They always have these fantastic venues. And this year it was, it was one of the same at SoFi Stadium. It was just great. Great. For the venue alone, saying nothing of the cause and also the contributions.
Great turnout.
It's a great turnout. It's about maybe 300 attendees.
Wow.
Because it's maxed out at a certain point because you have tables and seats and
Still
dinners.
on a Saturday for
yeah.
a good cause? That is a great turnout.
But it wasn't a long evening. The evening starts at 7:00. We were done by 9:05.
Wow.
Now, I was there since 3 because they had like a run through and rehearsal and everything, but the event itself, it flows. So, I will say this. Shout out to Marathon Petroleum, who donated $150,000. Let me just say that. $150,000. One donor. That's how we got down. So it was a great weekend in that regard. Busy, but great. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're going to talk about 7-Eleven and that latest ransacking and mob when we come back.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
By now, you've probably seen, if you haven't seen, just turn on your TV. It's on loop. You've seen the footage of the mob which attacked a 7-Eleven store in Orange County yesterday. It left the store clerk with a bloody nose. Thank goodness he wasn't more seriously injured. And you could tell there was footage by the surveillance cameras. There was footage, obviously, by people who were there and were stupid enough to upload it to social media. They will be caught. So I don't think that is an issue. But I did come to some realization, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one who thought of this. I'm not saying this at all. I'm saying that I think if there is a common thread woven through all these flash mob ransackings and 7-Elevens, it's this. And I did not tell you this before the show, so tell me what you think of it. We were always theorizing out loud, why was it always 7-Eleven? And I said it had to be something with the setup or configuration or something, because it's only 7-Eleven. It must be a more attractive target. And then I kept reading back to the old stories, and then it hit me. The lottery tickets. If you go into a 7-Eleven, the lottery tickets are on the counter more times than not.
Yep.
Available to the hand. It may be behind a little bit of plastic, but it's still, available to someone who's going to come in the store with bad intentions. Now, if you go into most AM PMs, they have like a Lexan wall. You're not getting there.
Yeah, all of the lottery tickets in 7-Eleven, I know this because I go to 7-Eleven in the morning, I get my coffee, grab a little lottery ticket. All of their scratchers are right there under a little glass-like partition on the counter for you
on the counter, yeah.
But if you go behind the counter, you can just pull all those things off.
And there's nothing keeping you from hopping the counter. Nothing.
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even the older individuals that are there. For some reason or other, every time I go there during a morning shift, it is usually an older individual working there. Later on in the afternoon, maybe it's the son, maybe it's the nephew, the brother coming in. Is typically an younger gentleman, but still, it's usually the one guy. There's usually one guy in there.
But see, there are two things I would say to that. One, we always say like, hey, it's 7-Eleven, it's not worth your life. And I would say like, it's probably a family operation. So the people working in there, they feel much more connected to it than the average employee, working at any convenience store. That's the first thing. Second, when I was watching this video, again, it's been on loop all day long. And you see a guy, all of them in like hoodies and sweatshirts. They're very conscious to cover even their arms. They don't want you to know even their ethnicity or anything which might be identifiable. Going back to the kids who were identified by their parents. there's an escalation now. Before, it was just a ransacking. They would leave the clerk alone. This time, they engaged the clerk. They threatened him with a big rock, and he ended up with a bloody nose. I'm not asking for this to happen, but I do know how things escalate. If the violence from the would-be criminals escalate, those who are running the businesses are going to respond in kind. They're going to protect themselves. They're going to protect their property. And if I were an owner of a 7-Eleven, if I were an employee at a 7-Eleven, each time I walk into that place, I have to assume, especially in Southern California, I would have to assume that I'm a potential target, a likely target. And there may be some 50 individuals now who don't have any reservations about harming me as well as ransacking the store. So having nothing to do with trying to protect the store and protect the property and protect the product, I have to protect myself. I think this escalates even more because even though, and credit to the police and law enforcement by arresting a lot of these individuals who are involved, it's not dissuading other groups because they said it was like 50 people. That it's not dissuading them. These are now the copycats. I don't believe it's the same group.
Yeah.
When you're talking about Orange County and you're talking about in the Wilshire area, these are not the same kids. It's just not. So these are copycats, and it can happen then anywhere. Any neighborhood, presumably, because I don't think the Orange County neighborhood was the same economic demographic as the Wilshire area. I might be wrong, but I don't think it was. You're going to see most likely an escalation, and God help us when it does.
I am going to put out a theory only because at one point in time, I was one of those kids that were out in front of, supermarket, selling candy, right? With the fake story of made up this, that, or the other. I'm out here raising money for whatever team, whatever. Selling chocolate bars that we go get at the 99-cent store and go out and try to sell them to you for like $5. That was me, right? Mm-hmm. And I know there was an individual in Pasadena, who would organize all of us, put like 9-10 kids in a van and drop us off in front of stores, right? I don't believe that these attacks are as random as we are made to believe because it's kids. I believe just like with the ransacking in Nordstrom's Mall this same past weekend that was organized and they've caught damn near all of them, I believe that there is some level of organization where there is someone who is gathering these kids together. I don't care if it's 2 or 3 individuals gathering together and saying, we're going to hit this one today, because it is too similar for it to be just some kids texting and saying, hey, we're going to do this. Let's go. I don't believe it's that loose in planning. Let
me probe that even further, and I would then ask, what is the end game? Because if I'm not mistaken, the lottery tickets, especially the scratch offs, they have serial numbers. I don't know if you can redeem them because I'm quite sure they're going to catalog that which is stolen and the serial numbers thereof of the lottery tickets. So I don't know if they're usable in any real form. And outside of the lottery tickets, I don't know the financial upside from the candy bars and, the knickknacks which are being stolen.
We don't know. And to me, it's about, if it was just one 7-Eleven and say an AM, PM, but there's something about all of the things that they're gathering that by themselves, no. But in great numbers, then you start to have something. Then you start to have a supply where you can do something else with it.
No, it's not a coincidence.
Yeah. I just don't believe it's a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm going up and down the aisles with my mind are there like Sudafed tablets on the aisle where they can use for the creation of other drugs? Since they've locked those down in most Rite Aids and drugstores. I don't know if it's a misdirection for something else. No, when you're only hitting 7-Elevens, it's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. It's just a matter of what's behind the pattern. And I'm surprised, honestly, that 7-Eleven on a corporate level has not stepped in and done something statewide to better protect them, or at least go through some sort of motion to increase level of security, even if they had temporary security members there or something, because they're sitting ducks and they're being used as targets just about every single week.
Yeah.
It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And when we come back, we will tell you the cities with the worst drivers in the country. And California is represented somewhere in there, probably because of Mark Ronner and his antics. Don't quote me on that, but probably.
You will not scapegoat me. I forbid it.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And maybe your city is on this list. The list of the cities with the worst drivers in the country. And I'm not saying this to be funny. We're talking about the number of fatalities per 100,000 people, crash fatalities, and fatalities involving a driver with a positive blood alcohol content above the legal limit per 100,000. Okay? And they whittle it down to a crash score. And this is a research team of a consumer affairs group study. And these are their findings based on NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's latest data, which is 2022. Didn't have 2023. But we can give you the 25 worst cities, but we're not. We'll only give you the top 10 of the worst cities. Coming in at number 10, as far as fatalities and also drunk driving under the influence fatalities. St. Louis with a crash score of 52.3 per 100,000. Coming in at number 9. Midland, Texas with a score of 52.8. Coming in at number 8 as far as the worst drivers or most dangerous drivers actually in the United States. Baton Rouge. Number 8, 53.7. Number 7. Wichita Falls, Texas. Not to be confused with Wichita, Kansas. 54.6. Number 6 of the worst drivers in the United States with respect to fatalities and also fatalities connected to driving under the influence. Tucson, Arizona. Number 5. In any list of the worst, Mississippi must be represented. Jackson, Mississippi checks in at number 5 with 56.1 crash score. Coming in at number 4. California hits the list with San Bernardino.
Yeah.
San Bernardino.
Travel to San Bernardino, do you, Mark?
No, and I guess I won't be at this rate.
That was number 4. So number 3. Macon, Georgia, 63.4. If I were to make any type of grand generalizations, mostly in the South and Southwest, mostly. Number 2, I said mostly, and here's why. Not completely. Victorville, California, which is kind of like the South. If you've ever been to Victorville, it is very South-esque.
South adjacent.
Yeah, you could close your eyes and then open it with like, is this Mississippi? Is this Arkansas? No, it's Victorville. It's one and the same. I know they do not like that, but it's true. If you've been to Victorville, I mean, ooh. It's ooh. Love you, Victorville. Not really. Coming in at number 1 of the worst drivers in these United States with respect to fatalities and drunk driving fatalities. Memphis, Tennessee. Must be all on Beale Street. Memphis. I've been to Memphis, but I haven't really spent a lot of time to assess it. But, you know, I can see it, but It doesn't seem more dangerous. Maybe they're just much more permissive.
Everyone's loaded.
I actually thought LA would have been on this list. I really did. San Bernardino is not LA, but close enough to LA where I thought LA would also be on it.
The only reason LA's not on it is because of the fatalities and the fatalities due to impaired driving. We do have some of the worst drivers, hands down.
Yeah.
So if this was just worst drivers that cause like road rage or double mark runners, then yes, this is absolutely on the list. But our drivers, they drive really bad and they try to kill you, but they're not. But they're not. You know,
their kill rate is not very high.
Yeah. They deserve a runner, though.
Double mark runners.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
You should be proud.
Let's make this one stillborn.
Okay.
Let's give it a double runner. No. I like it. I don't like the bird anymore. I love a double runner. That's what you're getting.
Let's fill in the list.
It's only Monday. What's wrong with you two?
We got a long way to go. A long week for you. Let's fill in the list. Number 25 on the list was Knoxville, Tennessee. 24 was Dallas. Here you go, Mark. Tell me where this is. Number 23 is Everett, Washington.
Oh, that's north of Seattle. About a half hour, I think.
Okay.
That's surprising. I had no clue.
22, Detroit, Michigan. 21, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
20, Dayton, Ohio. 19, Richardson, Texas. 18, Odessa, Texas.
A lot in Texas, yeah.
Yeah. It's not a coincidence, evidently. Number 17, Birmingham, Alabama. Number 16, Waterbury, Connecticut. I don't know where that is, but Connecticut's not a big state. Number 15, Davie, Florida. Never heard of Davie. Anyone? Bueller?
No.
Number 14, North Charleston, South Carolina.
That alone.
Number 13, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I believe that. I believe everyone's drunk all the time in Florida. Number 12, Pompano Beach, Florida.
Old and drunk.
Yeah. Number 11, Pueblo, Colorado. And you know the top 10. But still, no LA. I really am surprised that they weren't anywhere near this list.
Nah, not surprising at all. Again, bad drivers versus driver fatalities and people drinking and driving in California.
I mean, bad and death are not too far apart. When I see the people just driving recklessly down the 5 freeway, weaving in and out, assuming that I see them, motorcycles and actual cars, I'm thinking like, we have to be racking up the fatalities, if only because Southern California, especially in LA, we have so many freeways. I'm thinking that there are more fatalities per day than other big cities, but the data doesn't support that.
I passed by this morning. I was running late to work because there was a 3-car pileup at the 210, 118, 405 interchange right around there. And it was horrible. But all 3 passengers were outside their car yelling at each other.
Look, I count my lucky stars every day. I make it to work, I make it home from work. I do not take it for granted. There's more distracted driving than ever. There are more a-holes than ever. There are more impatient a-holes than ever. People are just angry all the damn time on the road. And it's like, I don't want to make eye contact with you. I'm definitely not doing a Mark Ronner or a double Mark Ronner.
Don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Leave that to the professionals.
Yeah. I don't do that because I'm not trying to escalate anything, because I'm trying to keep that portion of my life behind me. And there's always someone who's younger, dumber, with more to prove and less to lose. So I try to steer clear of that.
I've been trying to find a place walking distance to work for roughly 3.5 years now.
You and me both.
Because I legitimately feel like I've cheated death thousands of times coming in here.
All I'm saying, though, with all that being said, if I should happen to be in front of a 7-Eleven or near a 7-Eleven and I'm between them and the door, I don't know how I'd respond.
You might just have to fly into action like the Homelander.
Look, someone may catch one that night. I'm going to get one.
Catch one what?
Elbow,
knee. Not an infection.
Oh, no.
Okay.
They're going to catch one.
An inflection.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to have to make a decision. Either going to rob 7-Eleven or they're going to deal with me. It's not going to be both. It's not going to be both. And I will pot shot on the way in and pot shot on the way out. taking free shots at them.
Fearsome.
Look, I mean, it's hard for me to stand by and do nothing. If I know that they're kids and they're most likely not carrying any heat, let's go.
You're going to give them a fistful of tough love.
No, I want to kick them in their kneecaps. That's what I'm going to do.
A shoe full of tough love.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's not my makeup to just do nothing. I don't like bullies and I don't like criminals. So it's hard for me to do absolutely nothing, especially if there's not a threat of death involved. There may be for them because I believe that someone's going to get shot if they keep doing this. I really do. I'm not condoning it. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying if you keep escalating it, that's the likely outcome. And that's also, advice for you, Mark. Stop escalating.
No, I wouldn't dream of it. I live in mortal terror of you and your shoes.
Not me. I'm talking about when you're out there giving double runners.
Oh, well, my statement holds.
Are you robbing 7-Elevens too?
Look at the time.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Are you also being bombarded with all these? Well, they're not supposed to be robocalls, and I'll tell you why. But these phone calls of an automated nature, these texts from all these different political candidates or propositions or super PACs, how is it they get our number? I didn't sign up for these lists. Well, let me give you some information about what you can or can't do to stop some of these annoying calls and texts from political campaigns and also political operatives. Because many times, it's not for a particular candidate. It could be for an issue. It could be for a proposition. It could be for any number of reasons, because a lot of this information is shared between organizations. Give you an example. I'm on a press and media list. These different publicists and organizations, they will send me emails of everything they're doing. It may have absolutely nothing to do with my show. It would never be a fit for my show. Tawala's on them as well. We get all the spam and email, and we've never given our email to any of these people. But you end up, and this includes voter data, on these lists, and you're spammed incessantly. Let me give you some of the law and what you can and can't do, and where a lot of these organizations and businesses, they're running afoul of the law because there are no consequences. Registered telemarketers are not legally allowed to contact anyone on the Do Not Call Registry. Remember that national Do Not Call Registry that was supposed to help alleviate some of this? Well, there are limitations to it, because registered telemarketers are legally not allowed to contact anyone on the National Do Not Call Registry list for sales purposes. Did you get that? For sales purposes. And they could be fined if they're found in violation of sales purposes. Political calls and texts are exempted. Campaigns or affiliated groups can legally contact you and me through calls or texts, regardless of whether you and I have consented. And that's according to the FCC. So it doesn't matter how they got your number. It doesn't matter where they got your number. Yes, you can block the number. Yes, you can reply if it's a text saying to opt out or to stop. We all know that. I do it every single time. And they don't stop. They keep going. And it keeps happening almost every single day. And I'm here to tell you, I'm the bearer of bad news. There's really not anything you can do about it. There's not a lot. It's not that it's only illegal. It's not that it's illegal. It's legal. And there's really nothing you can do to prevent it from happening again from more different places. So the next political campaign season, you will have more texts from different candidates and different super PACs and groups supporting different propositions. There's really no way to prevent this outside of just changing your number, and this is something I can't do and I don't want to do. Some people have their phones set up, if you know how to do it, where if there is a number which is not in your contacts, it will automatically route those calls to your voicemail. I don't do that because I do enough business with enough places where, yes, there are people and professionals who are actually going to call me or contact me who may not be in my contacts. There are times where, like, BBC will call me from Scotland and it'll show up as unavailable as far as the caller ID. And I can choose not to respond, or I can pick it up. And I don't have my voicemail. I don't have any identifying information on my voicemail. If you know it's me, you know it's me. You're not going to get a message saying, "Hi, this is Mo Kelly. Please leave a message with your name and number and I'll get back to you." Beep. No, it won't be into that. I will call screen like a mother father. I will find out if I can, if it's you. But still, there are those people who manage to find my number, usually given out by Mark Ronner because he doesn't like me and he thinks it's funny. You see how Tawala gives out my social media because he thinks it's funny?
I enjoy giving out your social media as well. I'll admit it right now.
And since you do have my number, I firmly believe that you have something to do with it.
No, actually, my gift to you most weekends is that I don't call you. I think I sent you a link to something I wanted you to read on Friday, but I think you're a little bit like me in the respect that you just don't want to be called. I don't want to be called ever by anybody, even people I know. And if you have to call me, I want a text telling me you're going to call.
We are 100% the same in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want to talk to you because I'm doing something. I'm always multitasking in life. If I'm even watching TV, I'm multitasking. I can carry on a text conversation and not miss the show that I'd like to watch. I cannot carry on a conversation and talk to you on the phone. I try to return all phone calls and make all phone calls when I'm either on my way to work or on my way home because I have a good hour to hour and a half of attention that I can give to you and whatever it is.
Executive time.
Right. But if you do text me, damn it, tell me what you need. If you need to get on the phone with me, don't text me saying, "Hey, give me a call when you get a chance." No, I will not. Because if I'm going to call you, I need to know why so I can rank it in importance. Is it urgent? Is it less than urgent? Anyhow, I'm getting off the topic. But as far as the political texts and phone calls, there's really not a lot you can do about it. It is within the law. It has nothing to do with the National Do Not Call Registry. That's the bad news. The good news is there are a lot of apps out there, and there are a lot of settings that you can change on your phone. And maybe this might be a great topic for me and Marsha Collier to go over and really drill down on this and tighten up your settings so fewer of those calls get through. I can automatically block, and I won't get a notification for a message. They will not be allowed to text me. They cannot leave a voicemail message. That's how I cope with it. But as far as getting your number removed, and this is the real takeaway, there's no way you can get your number removed from these different lists. It is legal for them to get the number, however they get the number, and it is legal for them to contact you. And they're annoying as hell, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm just full of good news tonight. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
What the hell is going on? Well, we're about to tell you.
KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.